4. Military sites revealed by Google. Sanctions on Putin's government are still being applied as Russia continues its war against Ukraine. With many major world economies imposing sanctions on Russia, the country is gradually starting to become isolated. The sanctions have an impact on citizens' lives in many ways, including on economic and technical fronts. Many foreigners are leaving the nation or expressing their unhappiness with the prolonged conflict. Putin's perspective has not budged an inch, though. By gradually eliminating each of its services, Google is making progress against the war-hungry country. The US-based business hasn't made the decision to completely exit the nation yet. Nevertheless, they continue to move forward with penalties against Russia. Hidden military and geopolitical sites in Russia have suddenly been made public on Google Maps. The country will probably decide to ban Google sooner or later thanks to these retaliations. It's only a matter of time. Many of their classified military and strategic facilities are no longer hidden by Google Maps and are now easy targets. These essential locations are now visible to any curious person with a computer. With fairly good resolution, all classified Russian sites, including ICBMs, command stations, and more, have been made totally public. A few pictures of what looked to be a number of submarines, along with other military hardware, were posted online. Among these photographs, there was the Admiral Kuznetsov aircraft carrier, a nuclear weapons storage facility close to Murmansk, submarines in Kamchatka, a peninsula in the Far East, and a military airbase in Kursk, a city in western Russia. The border between Russia and Ukraine, one of the main scenes of this war, is only 150 kilometers, 93.2 miles away from Kursk. The persistent tensions between Russia and Google were even discussed by a local Moscow media source. The major web company no longer gives Russian consumers who run commercials ad monetization, and that's just one of the things Google is doing. The Kremlin's invasion of Ukraine was directly addressed by this decision to stop monetization. Afterwards, Google's company YouTube has been accused by Russian authorities of inciting an information war. The goal of this is to protest YouTube's decision to ban Russian state media from the site altogether. It should also be mentioned that Russian developers have suffered greatly as a result of GitHub's decision to block their accounts. While there are many good people still in Russia, the country's decision to enter war with Ukraine will have lasting consequences on not only its citizens, but with international relationships as well. The revealed strategic military bases are likely just step one in the world turning against Putin's government. What do you think is going to happen to Russia after the war with Ukraine? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you liked the video so far. 3. Shigiridle. The so-called Shigiridle was initially discovered by gold prospectors in 1890 at the bottom of a peat swamp in Russia's Ural mountain range. The unique piece is a 9-foot-tall, 2.7-meter, totem pole made of 10 combined wooden pieces that have been carved with expressive features, eyes, and limbs. It's embellished with geometric patterns and is the earliest surviving example of wooden ritual art in the world. Even a century after its discovery, archaeologists are still learning new things about this incredible relic. The sculpture could be about 900 years older than previously thought, according to a recent study by prehistoric studies professor Thomas Terberger of Germany's Göttingen University. Terberger's team believes the item was probably made around 12,500 years ago, near the end of the last ice age. They claim that the artifact's prehistoric makers cut it from a larch tree with 159 or so growth rings. The latest discoveries show that the priceless work of art is over 7,000 years older than Stonehenge, which was built 5,000 years ago. Additionally, it's twice as old as the Egyptian pyramids, which were created 4,500 years ago. The age of the Shigir sculpture has baffled academics for decades. The controversy has significant ramifications for the study of prehistory, which frequently emphasizes a Western-centric perspective on human evolution. Russian scientists carbon dated the relic to be from about 9,500 years ago. This was done in 1997, but many in the scientific community thought these findings weren't plausible. Reluctant to believe that hunter-gatherer communities in the Urals and Siberia created art or formed cultures, says Terberger to The Times, researchers instead presented a narrative of human evolution that centered around European history, with ancient farming societies in the Fertile Crescent eventually sowing the seeds of Western civilization. Historians were hesitant to shift away from these teachings. The wooden piece was once again examined in 2018 and estimated to be 11,600 years old by experts including Terberger using accelerator mass spectrometry techniques. This origin date has now been further advanced by the team's most recent publication. The artifact was produced as a piece of mobiliary art, or portable art with ritual meaning, based on the intricate markings etched into the hardwood surface. The 8 faces may include coded references to some kind of creation story or the barrier between the earth and the sky. According to co-author Svetlana Savchenko, the curator in charge of overseeing the object at the Sverdlovsk Regional Museum of Local Lore. It is truly a wonder in and of itself that this uncommon example of hunter-gatherer artwork has survived through millennia. The Russian peat bog's acidic, antibacterial climate kept the wooden totem intact for ages. 2. 5 new islands. 5 new Arctic islands were uncovered by receding glaciers and discovered by the Russian Navy. The islands were first seen in 2016 using satellite images, but they were only verified and charted during a mission to the area. The isolated Novaya Zemlya archipelago, in the Arctic Ocean northwest of the Russian peninsula, has the new islands near the Vilky Glacier. They have an area ranging from 900 to 54,500 square meters, about 9,690 to 586,630 square feet. The expedition leader, Alexander Moiseyev, said that since the islands have been found, they will be given names. According to the Defense Ministry, Russian Navy scientists have been analyzing coastal changes with satellite data for years. They confirmed over 30 additional islands, capes, and bays throughout the 2 archipelagos of Novaya Zemlya and Franz Josef Land between 2015 and 2018. The 5 islands were originally discovered in 2016 by a student named Marina Migunova during her final qualifying exam, according to the Defense Ministry. She's currently a Navy engineer providing oceanographic measuring services. Before an expedition set sail in mid-August to examine the islands in person, researchers took pictures and performed topographical assessments of them. Many scientists agree that these islands aren't just the result of shifting tectonic plates, but the result of climate change. Compared to other parts of the world, the Arctic's temperature is rising twice as fast. By 2100, up to a fifth of the world's population could be displaced due to rising sea levels if glaciers keep melting at the current rate. Millions of people could experience food and water shortages, and pollution could cause public health disasters. 1. The Romanov Family. For almost 3 centuries, the Romanov family ruled the Russian Empire from 1613 to 1918. The last imperial family, the Romanovs, had ancestors like Peter the Great, Catherine the Great, and Tsar Nicholas II. A total of 18 Romanovs took the throne over their reign. Nicholas, Alexander III's oldest son, was the last chosen heir. Alexander, though, could not prepare his son for the Russian throne that was riddled with political unrest. Alexander was a strong autocrat who thought the Tsar should rule with an iron grip. He outlawed speaking languages other than Russian inside the empire, repressed journalistic freedom, and undermined political institutions. Nicholas then inherited a turbulent Russia. On May 30th, 1896, Nicholas ordered a mass celebration for his coronation. As part of the festivities, Temporary theaters and pavilions were erected. Items such as bread, memento cups, sausage, beer, and chocolates were among the presents given to the public. The days after ended in tragedy, as over 1,000 of Nicholas's subjects were killed in a crowd rush. The crowd of 100,000 people entered the festival after it was opened. Sadly, many were crushed in the process, and the official estimate revealed 1,389 fatalities. The incident is known as the Kodinka tragedy for the city in which it took place. The stampede happened around 6 a.m. and is believed to have broken out because there weren't enough sausages and beer for everyone. This sort of bad luck plagued the last Tsar's reign and solidified the growing gulf between the Russian people and the monarchy. Things worsened when the Tsar engaged in an unpopular war over territory with Japan and gained the nickname Nicholas the Bloody when his government killed over 100 citizens in 1905 during a peaceful assembly. The ruler's son, Alexei, who was the crown prince, suffered from hemophilia. Wanting to keep the condition secret from the public, the Empress Alexandra, his wife, leaned heavily on the mysterious figure Grigory Rasputin, who she thought spared Alexei's life. Finding Rasputin cloaked in shadows and mystery rumored to be involved in the occult, the Empress's relationship with Rasputin did nothing to improve public relations. Things just kept getting worse for the Romanovs. In 1914, Russia was drawn into World War I. Russia lost more people than any other empire in the conflict, with 1.8 million service members and 1.5 million civilians. Any remaining authority Nicholas might have had over the nation was diminished by war. The food system, transportation, and the population all collapsed when men were not able to cultivate at home. Initially resistant to ceding power, Nicholas finally stepped down from being ruler in March 1917. Bolshevik revolutionaries led by Vladimir Lenin gained control of the government in November 1917. Given that his wife was the granddaughter of Queen Victoria, Nicholas tried persuading the British and later the French to grant him refuge. The Romanovs ended up in the hands of the newly established revolutionary government, since both nations flat out refused. The magnificent, lavish existence the Romanovs led at the Winter Palace in St. Petersburg was drastically different from their new home. The Empress Alexandra and Prince Nicholas were both in denial and insisted that they would be spared. They were eventually kept prisoner in a residence known as the House of Special Purpose by the Bolsheviks. The Romanov family was finally awakened in the middle of the night on July 16, 1918, and told to get ready to move. The ladies gathered their belongings in a last-ditch effort to escape and put on clothes that were stuffed with cash, religious mementos, and jewelry. They were ordered to line up after going into the basement of their Ipatiev house, their last residence. After they were positioned as if they were going to take a picture, the Bolshevik troops shot the Romanov family to death, execution style. They were buried afterwards. A few days later, the Bolsheviks told the world of the Tsar's death, and the party increased their political influence. Newspapers and party publications exaggerated Nicholas's alleged frailty and vilified his reign. The official party line said the Tsar's wife and family were being cared for in a secret location, but suspicions about what actually happened to Alexandra and her children started to circulate. Every member of the Romanov family and their associates were then killed by the Bolsheviks. In just 84 days, 27 more people died. They were buried in mass graves. Stories about potential survivors persisted as years went by, and some imposters declared themselves to be the Romanovs. But their strange deaths made room for rumors and plenty of conspiracy theories. The most famous is the story of a surviving heir. Many women have come forward throughout the years claiming to be the princess of the Romanov family. This story lasted nearly a century, but the most convincing woman was Anna Anderson. In 1922, she appeared in Berlin and identified herself as Anastasia. Although the majority of the extended Romanov family believed she was a fraud, her allegations attracted public attention. In 1927, a private inquiry financed by the brother of Tsarina Alexandra revealed that Anna Anderson was really just a mentally ill Polish factory worker named Franciszka Szkanskowska. Alexander Avdonin, a geologist, started asking about the location of the Romanovs' burial in the 1970s after growing up hearing legends. In 1979, he located the site near the location of the Russian home where the family was held captive. He and a companion started to exhume the bones from the site. They reburied the remains out of the concern for the Soviet government's retaliation. Avdonin requested a probe in 1988, but this came after the Soviet Union relaxed its position on talking about the Romanovs. In 1991, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, a mass burial in the Ural Mountains was found. The identities of Nicholas, Alexandra, and their 3 daughters were later established through DNA testing. Until a second cemetery was found next to the bigger mass grave in 2007, no one knew what became of Alexei and one of his sisters. It was eventually determined that the grave's contents, 2 bodies, belonged to Alexei and one of his sisters, likely Anastasia or Maria. The specialists tested for gender, age, relationship with each other, and Romanov ancestry. The DNA reports revealed that the bones were beyond a doubt from the Romanov family. One of the specialists was quoted saying that the odds of the bones not being the Romanovs were 1,000,000,000 to 1. The Romanovs' buried remains were put in the St. Petersburg Cathedral in 1998, and the Russian Orthodox Church later designated them saints. Thanks for watching. Which of these discoveries did you find the most interesting? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time.